Hey everybody, this is Perch. I've been doing these sales analysis videos and kind of looking at the different comics, and I'm trying to get to a critical mass relatively soon because once I've got, a good handful of them up and available, then you can start doing some fun things like comparing one series to another and really looking at what went right for one and wrong for another. You start to get some additional benefit once you get to kind of a critical mass of having the information out there. But a couple things kind of they're coming up more and more frequently, and I'm sure when this video is posted, the one I'm recording right now, the one you're listening to right now, I'm not sure where I'll be. I'm well underway. I've got Venom going. I've got the Hickman's X-Men title going. I've got Snyder's Justice League. I've got a large assortment. I've got Captain Marvel. I've got Miss Marvel. And you start to notice a couple really clear trends. The Immortal Hulk is an interesting one as well, because one of the things I haven't talked about very much are how the incentives and how those programs work. And really quickly, I do a whole other video talking specifically about this, but an incentive is where you basically say, hey, if you want this variant cover of, say, Venom #1, then you've got to order double what you normally order of, Immortal Hulk. And you get these kind of crossover books. I think they're really shady, and I hate them absolutely. I've never met a retailer who's like, yeah, I love this thing. But David Gabriel likes it, and Marvel likes it. So, what are you going to do? At any rate, you start to see these very clear trends play out, and you find yourself starting to ask questions. And in many cases, these are questions I've been asking for like a year and a half on this channel. And I think I don't think I landed those questions very well because I didn't do the work that I'm doing now to kind of explain, hey, look at these numbers, look at these trends, look what you can learn from them. Because once you see that, you're going to have a lot of the same questions I do. Questions like, why does Marvel keep rebooting titles when there's clear evidence that there's a law of diminishing returns every time they do it? What are they hoping for? What are they hoping happens? Why does Marvel decide to interrupt events, series with an event when almost every single time you see that the title suffers, the event does not gain the amount of readers it loses in the ongoing books, and overall it just contributes to this downward slope. In many cases, and I hate this practice, but you can look at the numbers and completely get why they do it. You see things like you really see this with Jason Aaron's Avengers, where they will have a poor artist or a less known artist on the book for a couple issues, and then as sales start to tank, about every 3 issues, they throw a more popular artist on the title to kind of juice the sales numbers back up again. And it's, as a reader, as a customer, I absolutely hate that. But as a sales practice, it makes complete sense. You can see how it benefits the overall curve to the book. But the one thing that all these financial analysis, everything else, and probably why I took so long in getting around to doing them, is regardless of how well a title is selling or not selling, it doesn't really matter to you as a reader. And let me explain that question a little bit clearly. Do you, as a consumer, as a customer, do you see a correlation between what other people think is popular, what the market thinks is popular, and what you actually enjoy reading? Because more often than not, I think that there's, it asks a question: who are these sales figures for, and how are you benefiting from them, or are you at the mercy of them? I'm not asking my question completely well. I guess the point I'm trying to get across is, once upon a time in comics, the popular selling comics were more or less aligned to what people actually enjoyed reading. And not always. I mean, I was a fan of Vertigo and a lot of the independent books in the 80s and the early 90s. I thought there was some great stuff. Those obviously weren't the top selling books. But by and large, what people came into the store to buy, what they enjoyed reading, were the books that were at the top. But today, the books that are at the top there's a lot more, not science, but a lot more shenanigans going on with those sales. They're not necessarily the books everybody wants to read anymore. They're the books that have the right volume of variant covers, have the right incentive programs, have the right reboot or relaunch, is catering to the speculator or the collector market in the right way. There's just a lot of factors that do not have anything to do with what people actually enjoy reading. The list of comics is very, very strange. It's not just critically acclaimed books like Hawkman, where you had a lot of people who said they really liked it, but the sales were terrible. Versus, look at the Thor run and you look at what sold and what didn't sell. The comic industry is in, I think, a very unhealthy state. And it's going to take a more skilled YouTuber than me to make this point in a reliable way. But the whole numbers of what's selling and what's not seems to have gotten disconnected a bit to what's actually popular and what's not. Whereas the comics in the top 10 are far more heavily weighted to, what's being relaunched, what's kicking off this event, what's got variant covers, what was an incentive-based title. Just a lot of things that really have nothing to do with the question, are you enjoying this comic or not? Is this a comic you actually want to read or not? And I think that to me, when you talk about the relative health or unhealth of the industry, unhealthy, whatever. When you're talking about whether the industry is in good shape or not, to me, I always think industries are in better shape when there's a tight alignment between people wanting to read something, people excited by the product, and the sales of that product. And in comics, I think we've gone a little bit sideways where the excitement for a product, what people want to read, does not necessarily line up with sales. And that tends to be, I think, a more dangerous place where the market and the sales and the dollars are being driven more by speculators, more by collectors, more by factors that may or may not translate to actual interest long term. And what really struck me about this, and I'll make sure, I need to make sure that the video goes out. Hopefully, if it didn't, you'll see. When you look at the Venom numbers in particular, you see that title is jumping around all over the place. It's not this steady, nice, flat, reliable mark. It's gaining and losing in swings of like 25,000 units from title to title. And Venom didn't have those incentive programs really attached to it. So why was it bouncing around? And the answer is the retailers were bouncing it around. The retailers were ordering high, not selling everything, cutting their orders, finding they were selling out, re-upping their orders, and they were chasing this market that was kind of all over the place. And that instability is something that I doubt anyone would attach to Venom as a title. But I suspect as I look at more of kind of the bigger promoted books that Marvel is offering, and as you step back a little bit, you will see that in 2018, kind of 2018, 19, 20, you will see a lot of fluidity in the market. You'll see a lot of things bouncing all over the place. And that is not a great sign for anyone. no matter how you cut it. It's not a great sign for the publisher because they know a little bit less about what to stand behind and what to market and push. It's bad for the retailers because they have less confidence in what to order. And it's bad for the readers because it means they're chasing around titles. I mean, well, you could argue it's probably best for the readers because it means they're going to what comics they like. But ultimately, it's going to be bad for the readers because it indicates that the market is less likely to bring you long and stable runs. But maybe the customer base doesn't really care about that anymore. I don't know. At any rate, it's an interesting picture. And as I go through all these numbers, we'll just keep trying to draw out what's going on in the comic industry. Is it healthy or not? And more importantly, are the books at the top the books people actually want to read? Or are the publishers propping up the books on the top with a variety of kind of schemes, and the place you should look at is more the middle? Increasingly, I think that is the case. But what about you? When you think about comics, first of all, this is a key question. Do you care what's selling or what's not selling? Do you just like what you like, and how well it's doing in the market's really pretty irrelevant to you? If that's you, then I applaud you. Good deal. That's I think a smart, healthy place to be where you're disconnected from all this crap running around. The other question I have is, do you see this as a problem? where the comics that wind up selling the most, moving the most units month to month, are not necessarily comics anybody actually wants or is excited about reading. They're the comics people are buying because they think they're going to be valuable. It's kind of this almost weird, in a very weird way, a return to the speculator market of the 90s. What do you think of that? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notification. Most importantly, as always, thanks for listening.